Hi everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to the Reconnection Space channel on YouTube. So my name is Ali Moore and we hope that you're going to enjoy this episode. As always, I have been searching and I'm searching the globe now, you're going to see, for wonderful guests to bring into the Reconnection Space. This is the space where we talk about reconnection with ourselves, reconnection with the world around us, with our life's journey, all of that. And we love to hear people's stories. That's what we're really loving, that we're collecting all these amazing stories. And our special guest today, Ajit, is here. Now, Ajit is dialing in. That's an old-fashioned term, isn't it, for those of you who are old enough to remember? Dialing in. He's in Los Angeles, but he has got a fabulous story to tell about how he ended up there. He's going to tell us a bit about that. He's going to tell us a bit about a wonderfully exciting project that he's been working on, and I know he has a great message as well that is worth listening to. So we've only really just got to know each other. We've had a bit of a chat beforehand, but it was such a good opportunity. So Ajit, welcome to the Reconnection Space.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Ali. I'm excited to be here and speak to the tribe.
Thank you so much. So we love the fact that we're getting people now from all over. We've had people from Australia and New Zealand and obviously here in the UK. And now we have our first person from Los Angeles, which is always exciting for our UK viewers when we go over to the States. So thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
So first of all, Ajit, tell everybody a little bit about what's happening for you right now so they get a context of who you are.
So right now, my name is Ajit, like you said, and I am building the world's largest coaching platform called Evercoach. That's what we are really focused on right now, business-wise. Apart from that, we are also building one of the largest training platforms for trainers, educators, and people who want to create positive change in the world. We're testing those grounds as well. This is what's happening business-wise. Other than that, I'm about to become a father in about a month and a half, depending on when the baby really pops. But
I didn't know that before. That's the first time I've heard. So that's a genuine, like, oh, how lovely.
Yes. So about to become a father, first-time father. So very excited about that as well. So that's happening personally in life.
Oh, that's wonderful. So yeah, so you're doing some exciting things in the world of coaching, but it wasn't always that way, was it? And we chatted just before we kind of went live. So as always, we're looking for that reconnection moment. So take us back in time and tell us a bit about your life and how you ended up now deciding to do what you do.
So I was born in India. I grew up in a household of about 23 different people, and basically life was not full of abundance at that time. It just grew up in an average family. We were living with our parents and our grandparents, our kids of our grandparents, and brother of my grandparent, his whole family. So I didn't grow up with a lot of abundance, didn't grow up with a lot of abundance of space or money or wealth. And so early on in life, I knew one thing for sure. And that moment happened because of a teacher telling me that I could be a news anchor at that time, which basically, being an Indian, it was expected of me to be an engineer more than a news anchor or anything like that. And so when that was communicated to me, I was like, oh, okay, that means I could be anybody. And that was the first paradigm shift. That was the first reconnection moment that happened in my life, where my entire reality shifted to know that I can choose to be whoever I choose to be, or at least I can try to be somebody than what is expected of me. And that changed the dimension of my life. Like I said already, I was living not so much in abundance. I was living kind of in poverty. But in my teen years, that fundamental shift allowed me to look at the world through a very different lens, and started to see, what do I want to create with my life? What is the intention? And that became a great journey, because coaches, trainers, educators started to show up in my life and show me what was possible, started to give me ideas of what I could create if I choose to continue to create, if I was intentional about what I was doing. And as life progressed, I went through a journey of working in a student-run organization, voluntary organization, learning a lot about leadership from there, then going to a different dimension, becoming a top salesperson for a media company in India, to finding myself very interested in the new media that was growing at that time. This is about a decade ago we are talking about, which was the internet. where the websites and Facebook was starting to become big and so forth. And that drew my curiosity enough to say, I need to find a way to connect with this technology that's coming up new. Right at that time, it was not so new, but it was kind of new still, because
Yes.
social media has just started to pop. Right. So,
Definitely.
so about a decade ago, that decision led me to know two things. One, that I want to do something more in this industry, this field. And secondly, that India was not the place to do that, because India was still far behind than the rest of the world, just because internet was still doing dial-up internet. And I don't know how many of the listeners are dated that way, but that's how we used to connect with internet, where you would listen to this annoying sound of beep,
That's it.
and then the dial-up would connect, and that's how you would get
You have
internet.
to plug the lead in. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a really, really slow internet, basically. And so anyways, that's how my journey, that's where my second reinvention moment kind of came in, and where I said, okay, I need to do something different. And so I reached out to some of my friends that were living internationally. One of them suggested this company called Mindvalley. It's a phenomenal company. At that time, it was a small enterprise. We were about 20 people in the office or something like that, 15 or 20 people, just a couple of thousand people that interacted with us, very few customers. But what happened in that dimension, as we started to interact with, as I started to work with the company, I realized that there was potentially one of the most powerful ideas that was out there that could use a greater platform. And so I started working with the company for an extended period of time, grew the company to the size that it is one of the largest platforms that is right now in personal development, personal transformation. To know more, you should just go to mindvalley.com and you'll see what I mean. Sure. We work with some phenomenal authors there. And so I rose to the ranks and became the CEO of the company. And that's where the reinvention moment that I really wanted to talk about today comes in. Mm-hmm. I became the CEO of the company. I was also the co-founder of the company, and I've started many other companies in the process. But what had happened was, because of my past programming of growing up for the first 24 years of my life in a household of about 20, 23 people, I had become somebody who only cared about abundance, or at least that was my primary dialogue. That had become my script of how can I make more money, how can I be more wealthy, how can I have a bigger house, a bigger car, a better watch, a better this, a better that, right? And that's where my direction was at that time.
That's where your space was. That's where your energy was.
And that's where my energy was. And know that I was running one of the most phenomenal personal development companies. So I'd want people to know that sometimes you could be really blinded by your vision. Right? In the sense, like, I'm running a company that can support me in really getting out of it, but I can't even see I need the support, right? Until, of course, I came crashing down. And that was the moment where I had realized that I had done all of this and I was phenomenally successful from outside in. If you look from outside, I will look very, very successful. But at the same point of time, inside out, I was not that in a place where I was very joyous or happy or content with what I was doing. I was fulfilled with my work, but that was the only thing. I was fulfilled and it was fueling my soul, but everything else was taking away from my soul. My relationships were in shambles. I didn't really have a connection point with my family, not a really great connection with my friends, not a really good experience-based life, not a lot of contribution out to the world, except for whatever I was doing in my work. So work was life and life was work.
It was fueling you. It was fueling your soul, but it wasn't really feeding. It wasn't what you needed. It wasn't nutritious, right? It was just more.
It was basically you're saying, all right, let's keep filling the tank with the purpose of work, but everything else drained in life. And that became a challenge in context to saying, hey, is this all there is? Right? Is this all there is? Is this is this going to be the truth of my life, where I will have purposeful work, but I might not have the purpose of life, or purpose of the dimensions and the offer that life has, and beauty that the life offers, right? And that questioning attitude got me to take some bold steps that would be rather called unconventional. I figured that my then marriage was in a complete dissemble, and I had made the wrong decisions, and I had to end it. I had to make a decision to say, even if this work was giving me purpose and fuel, I need to step out to really find myself, to really discover who am I, what am I doing, and how do I want to live my life going from here on? Right?
Yeah.
I know I can work my ass off at any time, but
Mm-hmm.
what is it that I really want for my life beyond just the purpose of work? I do want to have purposeful work, and don't get me wrong, and that's not what I'm trying to communicate. But
No.
what you want is a big life, a fuller life, a life that allows you everything, all the
Yes.
experiences that you want, all the joys that you would want, all the fulfillment from your relationships to your family, to your friends, and to work. Right? So it's not a. I somehow started to question if that choice of saying, oh, you could have a life, or you can have a personal life, or you can be
Right.
rich, or you can have friends.
Yeah.
I started to question that. I said, that can't be it.
No,
We couldn't. I
why can't you
get
have it
myself to settle on.
together? Yeah.
Yeah, why can't you have it all? Why do I have to settle? Why do I have to make a choice between friendships and relationship and family and money? I was like, no,
Mm.
there has to be a better way. Maybe we need to ask those questions. Maybe we need to go on a journey to really discover what's possible. And so that threw me on a journey where I quit being CEO of Mindvalley, which was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, honestly, because it was the dream that I've always which I pursued for almost a decade.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. And I was getting really, really fueled by what I was doing. My work was just beautiful and the company's amazing. But at the same point of time, I knew that I needed more as a human, as a person. And that got me to go on a journey where I quit my job. I basically ended a lot of things in my life at that point. Pretty much all the things that would say were the status quo. I got on the road. I started to travel. I started to question things. I still had companies. I was still doing my
Mm.
companies, and my companies were still getting built. But at the same point of time, I had answered at least one part, that could not be it. I
No.
just have to find how it will look like, what it will show up as, and how it will show up as. And fortunately, I was able to find those answers. Fortunately, I figured you can live big, you can have it all, but it does take the work that is required. It does take a change in perspective. It does take asking those hard questions and making those bold decisions. But you can have it all. You can have the balance. You can have the wealth. You can have the relationships. You can have fun. You can have experiences. You can travel. You can you can have different experiences that otherwise would seem impossible. It's just the intentionality towards it and some of the principles and perspective shifts that you need to really fully understand on how to really bring it to life.
So that's, such a lot of revelation for you there, where, you had everything that you thought you wanted. And I know many people out there and many guests we've interviewed, they've got to that point where it's almost like, I thought this was what I wanted. This was what I worked for. This is what I drove for. But now I'm actually here. Now I'm still looking, or now I'm still questioning. And it takes that real shift, doesn't it? It takes that real moment to have that reconnection moment, to go on that journey. I always hate that word journey, but it does feel like a journey for people, to actually kind of answer then, well, if this isn't it, what is it? Because you don't know that at that time, because you're in it and you're questioning it, but you don't really know where you're going to end up. So you took that big step, and like you say, your relationship ended. You stepped away from what people would say on paper was the most amazing role, in a great company. Went on a road trip journey, to discover, and kind of ended up in this space that we're here now. So you touched briefly on what you're doing now when we first started chatting, and you've kind of given across that key message that people do have the opportunity to combine lots of different aspects of life and adventures together to create that life. And because of that, you have got your book coming out, which we can actually see the cover on the back wall behind you. That's the one, Live Big.
Yeah, it's right here too. Yeah.
Brilliant. So just
yes.
as we kind of come to the close of our story, but what is a key message about Live Big? You've written the book. It's due for publication very soon. We're certainly looking forward to it. What is kind of one of the key things that you can help people understand? Because you've said you can have it all, you can do it all, but what do they really need? What's the key message they need to understand?
So so the key message of the book is to have it all. That's the summary of the message. And what we try to do in the book is we are trying to give you perspective.
Right.
Because what I believe is entrepreneurs are essentially smart, committed, dedicated individuals. If they have put themselves out there and asked the question of saying, how can I influence this world? How can I change this world? How can I create a great product? If they've asked these questions, they're essentially smart, bold individuals. There's no doubt about that. And so the challenge really lies in, yes, they're smart and bold and solid individuals. What is it that will move them? What is it that will move their conversation? What I found is it's perspective, it's insight. I don't have to give a strategy to an entrepreneur. What I have to give them is perspective,
Okay.
or insight, and they find the strategy. And that's what Live Big does. Live Big gives you an insight. It gives you a perspective. There are 25 different perspective shifts that we offer in the book, and there's a company program that gives you the strategies too. But the more important thing for us is for you to be able to dive and ask and change the perspective. If I may offer one of the perspectives,
please
just
do.
in context of if somebody says, "Oh, I am here in the journey. What now?" Well, that's how it's supposed to be. Alan Watts said, "What if life was more like a dance?" What if life was more like a dance? You don't wait for the dance to end. When you are dancing, you're just growing in the dance and you're enjoying the dance. The beauty of the dance is not the ending of the dance. The beauty of the dance is the dance itself.
In the dance.
You don't want to get to the end of the dance if you're having so much fun, right? And that's what life is like. That's what business is like. That's what our journeys are like. Our journeys are not a journey with a destination. Our journey is more like a dance where you don't want it to end. Ending that dance would mean death. Let's have fun with it.
I'm loving that, because so often as entrepreneurs and as people, most of my guests are people who are running their own businesses, or they've had that corporate life. It is all about the what next, what next? I've done this, what next? And we don't stop and enjoy, as you say, the dance that we're in at the moment. So we don't reflect on how well we've done and what we've achieved, and just being in the now, and being in that present. It's always about, okay, yeah, so what do I build next? What do I change next? Where do I go next? How can you make it bigger and better and brighter, but actually what's happening right now, that's the most important thing. And for you becoming a father for the first time, that's just going to be even more like you want to enjoy the now, that every single minute, So Ajit, we have loved having this conversation. You'll see in the links that we're going to be posting all of the links of where you can find Ajit, how you can get details. I get a feeling we're going to be keeping in touch, and we're excited about the book coming out. So my final question, as always, to my guests to close our meeting is reconnection. I'm just in anticipation of this. Like, what does reconnection mean to you?
Reconnection for me is, and it's good that we just talked about life being a dance in a way, because reconnection for me is presence. It's being able to be present and being with yourself, and being able to say, hey, this is what I am right now. This is what I feel like right now. This is what is my experience of life is right now. And really savoring that and really enjoying that, really knowing that if I set an intention to, I can live the life the way I want to. I can enjoy every moment the way I want to. I can be fulfilled in the moment by moment, and it's going to be all okay. So reconnection for me is a lot about presence. It's a lot about knowing that it's all going to be okay.
I love that. Being able to just sit back and say, it's all going to be okay. I think lots of us need to just do that. So thank you once again for being on our channel. Guys, if you have enjoyed the Reconnection space, I know a lot of you are clicking like. Don't forget to click the all-important subscribe button, because that means that you will never miss an episode of the Reconnection space, and we have some amazing guests. And if you have a story, wherever you are in the world, then you think people should hear that about your reconnection moment, then drop us a note, because we love to gather our guests in. We love to make new friends. We are about reconnecting, so we want to connect with as many people as possible. Ajit, thank you once again. We wish you all the best with the up and coming event. You tell us immediately that happens, okay? Immediately, so we can let our viewers know. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Right, take care. Bye.